years ago this week, in April 2001, Ralph Natale took the witness stand in a big mob racketeering trial in Philadelphia. Natale was a former boss, and his presence as a government witness established a precedent. He was one of the first sitting mob bosses ever to testify and cooperate with the government. That case resulted in the conviction of Joey Merlino and 6 associates, including Stevie Mazzone, George Borghese, Marty Angelina, and John Ciangalini. Now, most of those individuals are out on the streets again. The trial was one of the more interesting in Philadelphia mob history. One of the things that happened during that trial is, while Natale was on the witness stand, Joey Merlino was at the defense table, and Joe Legambi, the alleged mob boss today, was in the courtroom as a spectator. It probably was the first time in Philadelphia mob history, maybe the first time in mob history, that 3 different mob bosses from the same crime family were in a courtroom for 3 different reasons. That case was prosecuted by 4 U.S. attorneys, including then Assistant U.S. Attorneys Zane Meminger. Meminger is now the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. He is the one who will decide whether this long-rumored racketeering indictment against Legambi and his associates is brought. The questions as we sit here today, 10 years after that infamous trial, is, does the U.S. Attorney's Office have enough evidence to bring a case against Legambi and his associates, and will Zane Meminger pull the trigger on that case? The repercussions from all of that are interesting. Joe Legambi is the alleged boss of the crime family, and he is certainly the target, the primary target of the ongoing investigation. Joey Merlino left the federal prison last month in Indiana and is now in a halfway house in Florida. He's got to do 6 months, but after that 6 months, he'll be free to move around and go wherever he wants to go. The questions as we sit here is Legambi going to be indicted? Is he going to be back in the courtroom, this time at the defense table? If he is, does the vacuum that's created here in the underworld bring Merlino back from Florida to Philadelphia? Conversely, if the feds don't bring the case, and some people are beginning to speculate that Meminger and his office have decided there isn't enough evidence, it's not strong enough, it's not worth making the effort. If the case isn't brought, what does Legambi do? Or what does Merlino do? Does Merlino decide to come back to Philadelphia? Can he and Legambi coexist in South Philadelphia? That's another scenario that could play out. Third scenario, possible scenario, Legambi has long told friends that he would eventually like to retire to Florida. He's in his 70s. And one of the ironic things is, if he isn't indicted, if Merlino finishes his time in a halfway house in Florida, do they change places geographically? Does Legambi retire to Florida, and does Joey come back to South Philadelphia? 10 years after the big mob racketeering trial in Philadelphia, 10 years after Natale took the witness stand, we sit here in Philadelphia today talking about some of the same players and the same game. The more things change, the more they remain the same.